Motivation. I'm motivated. But what do you do when motivation is not enough? You rely on your work ethic. You rely on your discipline. That's my mentality. Now let's get it.
To the stage, please welcome Julian Peters.
How's it going, everybody? This is Julian back with My Mentality Podcast. For those watching, how's it going? For those listening, welcome back to my voice. I'm excited today. I would say this is like the first episode of a subcategory on the podcast where we talk to some couples, and we have the Great Daynes. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Feeling
Thanks
good.
for having
Feeling
us.
great.
No problem, no problem. So we got Cam Dayne or Cameron Dayne and Brittney Dayne. For y'all that might recognize, Brittney has been on the podcast. She actually brought up this idea to bring Cam on and talk, and I'm like, yo, why did I never thought about that? Because I think it would be great to hear that. So I guess my first question, I want to start, Cam, like, what do you do? You know, what's your background? Brittney got all the spotlight, so it's your turn. Pro man. No, I'm just playing.
That's fine.
Yeah. I'm an interest rate derivative sales trader with Fifth Third Bank. Now we're living in Charlotte, and I've been here for the last 15 years. Started my career out with Wachovia Bank, and then via the acquisition by Wells Fargo was on their team, and started out as an analyst, have moved up, and now I'm an executive director with Fifth Third's team, and I cover California, Detroit, Cleveland, Toledo, Columbus, and Pittsburgh.
Wow.
From
do
Charlotte.
You have to like travel, or you just stay in Charlotte and cover those areas?
Generally speaking, I travel. COVID changed that, so I would be gone probably once a week to visit my clients and my bankers up in my various territories. So it did require travel, and being here and not traveling has really, changed things up. I'm excited to have been at home, but I do get the itch to travel because that touch point with my bankers and my clients is on a different level as far as executing deals.
Right. I got you. So I asked Brittney this. Now you, favorite vacation spot so far?
She knows what I'm going to say. Favorite resort is Jade Mountain in St. Lucia. Favorite actual vacation, I'm going to say between Sydney and Tanzania, just because of what we learned about ourselves, especially in Sydney, is it has all of the elements. It has sights to see, it has water, it has beach, it has hikes. So mountains, like as far as everything we did. And the funny part is I'm afraid of heights. So you got a lot of things up there that tested exactly how afraid of heights I am for Brittney to actually see. We did the Sydney Bridge climb, and she
bless his heart.
I couldn't keep it together. My toughness.
I had no idea. It's one thing for him to say like, "No, I'm afraid of heights." I'm like, "Man, you all right? Like, let's go." And I was a little bit ahead of him, and I would turn back and just like to see the look on his face, like it was like genuine fear
for 2 straight hours.
I was like,
yo. Higher.
And then it was tough because it's like a legit bridge, and so you have traffic that's like driving, below us and everything. And so I mean, it was wild. It's really dope. It's a great experience, but like it was the first time like I could really see it and believe, like, wow, this man has a whole phobia.
So my wife is afraid of bridges.
Like going over them?
Over or under. So if we're driving, she will like start tinking up and like start breathing heavy. And I remember the first time I was like, what's wrong with you? But she has like a real like fear of bridges. And then my biggest fear, y'all gonna laugh, but I am like terrified of birds, like bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
But why?
So my mom tells the story best, but one day I think I'm walking to the park to go play basketball, and the people I used to like hoop with, friends, these birds had built a nest on the inside of their house. And you know how that is, like birds are like attack if you're opening the door, because so I guess they were trying to shoot the birds out, so they bought like blowhorns and blowing horns and trying to get them away. And I happened to be walking by it. I guess the bird had enough, and he just like, I remember like flying real close to my head. I'm like 9, and I'm like, and I look up, and he like flew all the way up in the air, like came all the way back down, like, and I'm just watching, and then I ducked, and I was just like, "Mama!" and like took off running. And like ever since then, like we were on our honeymoon in the Dominican Republic, and me and my wife were walking down this little hallway, and a bird like flew under the like building and came, and I like pushed it, like pushed.
Not okay.
I was like, oh, and like that off. Yeah, I feel you, Cam. Mine's
you scarred for life.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I've been skydiving 3 times.
Really?
That's why it was hard for me to believe. I'm like, man, you just talking.
Yeah.
Is it the adrenaline of the skydive that takes it away, or?
The first time it was a bucket list. The second time it was to go with a friend, and it was on her bucket list. So, and the third time, this one said, "You've been twice. It's on my bucket list. So we need to go." And we went in Hawaii, and it actually was the best skydiving experience that we had ever had, that I had ever had, and obviously that she had ever had, because in most skydiving, they take you out, you go into the country, and then you jump out, and basically you just, on the way down, you're just looking at just these huge broad swaths of land. And it's like, I mean, cool, we in the air. But in Hawaii, the way that we did it in Honolulu, it was on the edge of the island. So on this side of us, you saw mountains and land, and on this side of us was water. Yeah. So it was like half and half. And so it was just the most beautiful.
I saw whales, like I'm up there, like, you know, coming down, you see whales and everything. Really? It's amazing.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds great. So
we went in December, so as well.
Yeah.
So let me ask this, as far as, I don't want to like get straight off into how you guys met, but were both of you guys travelers, guys and girls, travelers prior to meeting each other? And this something that like helped connect y'all, or was it something that one was a big traveler and the other one wasn't? Like, how does that work?
We were both travelers. I was the bigger traveler. He definitely traveled
way more.
But there was no convincing one another to travel. I think we were dating 6 months, and we went to the Grand Cayman Islands together. Yeah. And so it was just like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We both like traveling. We want to see new places, see different cultures, and experience that together. So it was a match. There was no convincing.
Yeah. It was great. And there was no pressure.
Have you ever thought about moving out of the country?
No.
Yes, we have. Remember at one point there was an opportunity when you were with Wales, and they were like, hey.
Oh, London?
Yeah.
Oh.
And we were so for it. I was like, all right, let's go. Yeah. But yeah, anyways,
we're still here. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I forgot all about it.
We're still here. So, but to answer your question, yes, we did consider moving.
Yeah, we've talked about that a couple times, but nothing set in stone. I haven't even traveled the country until I met my wife. Traveled out of the country until I met her. So I'm new to all this. She's been everywhere. 30-day trip in Europe and all that, and I'm like, what? So it actually blew my mind, because I'm ignorant to the fact. I thought it was super duper expensive to travel, and she really showed me it's not always like as expensive as you think. So
yeah, it's a game changer for sure. You see life in a completely different way.
Right, for sure, 100%. So now let's ask, how did you two meet? Wait. Let's put Cam on the spot. How long y'all been married?
We've been married for 4 years.
What's your anniversary?
Up on July 1st.
All right.
2021 will be 5 years for us.
Okay. Oh, so wait a minute. Oh, y'all got married a year before we did. We just had our 4 year.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Congrats to y'all. So how did y'all meet?
I'll let her tell the story. She tells it better. I can tell about our first date, but she can tell the going into it.
I'll hear it. I think I want to hear it all, and people that tune in will want to hear it all. So yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So we met through a mutual friend. I was in New York for my 27th birthday, I'm pretty sure. And I was out to dinner with some of my sorors. I'm a Delta, by the way. Shout out to the baddest. And one of my pro fights, she knew of Cameron from one of his friends that she was actually dating. So anyways, she asked me if I was single, and I'm like, yes, still very single, very single. And she was just like, listen, I know a guy in Charlotte, and I just really think y'all will make some pretty babies one day. So I'm gonna hook y'all up. And I was just like, oh, I mean, all right. I mean, does he love Jesus? Does he love Jesus? Like, how about that? She was like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. And you should find that out. But in the meantime, I'm gonna just hook y'all up and see how it goes. So that's the part that I knew of. And then I guess Sean, he had hit you up.
Yeah, my boy hit me up and was like, yeah, she wants to she wants to hook you up with her friend. And I'm like, I mean, all right. I mean, I'm single. She's in Charlotte. And it was funny because the place where I had met her pro fight and hung out with her was like that March. And she asked me if I was single back then. I was like, I mean, yeah. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna hook you up. I didn't think anything of it. Like at the time, I'm like, all right, cool. But I didn't think anything of it because, by the time we had actually gotten hooked up, it was September.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of time had passed and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, we live in Charlotte, whatever. I'm open. And it was like as blind a dates as they can get right now. I mean, in 2021, because with a name, you can find them on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm sure nowadays you can't get blind dates at all.
Right.
With Twitter and all that. And so back then it was just Facebook and looking at profile pictures and, that was kind of how it was like before I agreed to it.
It was like, what she look like? What he look like?
What's her name? And back then you can only see the profile picture and the small thumbnail. So it's like, yeah, she look good. I mean, that's cool. Like, I don't know exactly what she looks like. And, this is a profile picture. I'd like to see more, because people hide different things. But I was just like, yeah, let's go ahead, hook it up. And they hooked us up. And
she put us in like a little Facebook chat, like the three of us. It was like, hey, Brittney, meet Cameron. He went to Morehouse and he's in banking. Hey, Cameron, meet Brittney. She's a FAMU and is a pharmacist, blah, blah. So then he sent me a message on the side and was like, you want to hang out.
Yep. October 3rd, first date.
October 3rd, first date.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So it was a Facebook meetup first, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was still nice to have somebody to kind of like be, she was able to vet him,
Right.
Like, it wasn't totally blind.
Where was the first date?
The first date was at a wine bar, Divine Wine Bar in Ballantyne, a neighborhood here in Charlotte. And it's like a Wednesday, I think it was, a Wednesday night. And it was just like, let's keep it casual, chill. We just meeting up. And neither of us were really like, both of us were like indifferent to the whole thing. It was just like, I mean, I'm not dating anybody for real. So yeah, I'm cool.
For real.
We can go on a date. So it was just like,
I always tell my homies that, and obviously you was on game, but like, that's a really intimate setting. Like, even though it's just a casual date, like that's not a whole bunch of noise. I'm imagining you can have really good conversation there. Like, that's what I mean. I could be wrong, but that's what I think of.
Initially, it started that way, and I didn't realize it. But then there was a band that came.
It was like live music. So it a little loud, but it was still cool because they had the outside setting, and so we was able to go out there and just kick it with our glasses of wine and our wine and cheese and meats and stuff. It was great. Charcuterie.
For sure. So what's that lead to? You guys have the first date. Is there a vibe there? You move on it?
Yeah, we cool. I think honestly, like, so yes, I'm like, okay, I'm single, whatever. But I wasn't in a place where I was like, I need to find my husband. Like I wasn't there, and he wasn't either, to be honest. Like, he wasn't really trying to be in a relationship. I kind of really wasn't either. It'd just be nice to have a companion, especially somebody in Charlotte, but neither of us were pressed. And honestly, I love that we were on the same page when it came to that, because it made like establishing the foundation of friendship like so much easier, Yeah, I mean, we were attracted to each other, and it was like, all right, let's definitely continue to kick it and get to know each other. But again, there was no pressure. Like, I know you're doing your thing. Like you said, he wasn't really dating nobody, not for real.
Right.
I mean, he was.
Don't blame it on me. He said the same thing.
Not for real. I mean, he had some folks
the same thing.
he had, you know, his ties that he needed to sever at some point, you know, but it was no big deal. It was just no big deal. It was great.
That's good. That's good. So, how long were you out dating before you got married?
Ooh.
So we got married. So I proposed in May of 2015, and we got married in July of 2016. So, I mean, you count that up. It was like almost 4 years, almost 4 years before we got married, and almost 3 years before we got engaged.
Okay. But also, I mean, we didn't like claim each other as an exclusive relationship for over a year after we met.
Like, yeah.
So again,
once we did that and established that, it was like, all right.
It went pretty fast.
January 2014, we boyfriend and girlfriend. We go together.
And honestly, I want to say by like April, May of that same year, I'd sold my house and moved in. Like, it was quick.
Right.
Like, what you doing?
Right. Who is this? What do you mean? Oh,
but she also wanted to move to Cali.
Yeah, I had
she was like, all right, you know, I'm just gonna sell my house and I'm gonna move out to Cali. You know, this will just be a nice little stopover. And, you know, I considered, you know, finding a job out there.
Oh my God, let me tell you. So this is how he got me. Cause again, like we're together, but you know, I don't just have to get married no time soon. So it's no big deal.
Right.
And in my mind, like I had all these dreams. And so I needed to move to Cali, and he was definitely helping me out, you know, letting me sell my house first and then moving in with him until I got my ducks in a row. And so I'll just never forget, he hit me up like, hey, by the way, I'm flying out to Cali this weekend or on Friday. And I'm like, first of all, why would you go out there without me? You know, like, you know how much I love Cali. Like I legit had an attitude. And he was like, well, I'm going because I have a job interview. And I'm like, now what now? Like, what do you mean? And so it was one of those things. He was like, listen, I know you know, want to pursue these different things when you go out there, and I want to be able to support you. And I was like, oh my God, like he likes me for real, you know, like, so that's honestly, that was a very pivotal moment in my life, just as a woman and a potential wife. You know, it was one of those things like, all right, girl, you better get it together and stop being so selfish and only thinking of yourself, because you have this man that's in your corner who is supporting you 100% to the point where he's ready and willing to uproot his life just to support what you want to do. So get it together and stop being so selfish. It was a beautiful moment for me, because at that point I kind of just let it all go. Right. I was like, listen, whatever's going to work best for you in your career and what you need to do, like, I am happy to submit to that, because you've proven yourself to be a great like head of the household and a leader, and I will absolutely follow that.
That's awesome. That's great. So, Cam, what's support to you?
What is support?
In a relationship, in a marriage, what is support to you? Is it doing, like, obviously that's one of the steps, doing something like that where you're really behind, I want you to progress, I want you to be successful, and I know I'm a part of that, so I'll make that step. Like, what's support to you?
I would say support is being present. And I'm talking about obviously physically, being there, being around. I'm talking about being present emotionally. So, you know, when people are having bad days and good days, and, you know, so being present when she's going to Olympia and going to 9 shows in a few months, period, being present when, you know, she's on diet and I'm not, and trying to manage that whole thing to as best as I can, you know, in my opinion. You know, her opinion probably different.
Well, and I wanted to ask her that. So like,
and I'm just saying, being present by communicating, just, you know, making sure that I'm supporting her via just opening up to her about what my issues are, what I'm going through, and what she's going through. So I would say that's support.
What about for you, Miss Dayne?
Yeah, the support of just, I don't know, kind of like being open to merging your plan with someone else's, right? So whatever it is that's important to him, whatever he prioritizes, making sure that I can find room for his priorities within my plan as well. being open to making that happen, and so that we can both, get what we need and be able to fulfill the purposes that are, set within our lives. Cameron is Cameron. Like, yes, we are married, but Cameron is still Cameron, and I'm still Brittney. So I need to do what God set me out to do, and he needs to do that too. But just making sure that I can help to, be a part of whatever that is that he needs to do to fulfill, and just not being selfish to my own desires.
Okay. So before I go into the next one thing that you said, Brittney, that really resonates with me. I've had this conversation a lot with people about the submissive wife. What is submitting? And the most important thing you said, and I'll probably highlight this later, is that you saw that Cam had the ability to lead, which made you understand that you could submit. I think a lot of people get that mixed up. Like, if you want your potential wife to be submissive or submit to you, you got to bring something to the table that allows her to feel comfortable enough to do that. So it's crazy you said that, because I've talked to so many people about that within the last couple of weeks. And then big ups to you, Cam. I'll give you your flowers for having that ability to show her that, because that says a lot about you as a man.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So my next question for y'all, what is the biggest obstacle that you face together as a couple?
I'm going to answer it, and she's better at elaborating, but I'm going to go through just our issues with fertility and building a family, being that I am 36 and she is 35, and trying
I look
that.
20, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, she looked 20. I don't know about that. But yeah, I would say that would probably be the biggest obstacle, just not only managing that situation specifically, but also managing the emotions and that in the aftermath of that, and how to navigate that makes it the biggest obstacle for us to this point.
Yeah. So yeah. It's hard to really explain it, right? Infertility, it's just a challenging journey. Okay. You got some women that are actually doing it on their own as well. So it's challenging for anyone, but as a couple, it was challenging, but it was also a blessing. Okay. It was definitely something that tested our patience, not only with the process and with just, the timing that God has for your life, but then even for each other, and to an extent, going through infertility is almost like, I don't want to say grieving, because I don't want to be insensitive to people that have like legit lost things, but like it's a feeling or a level of sadness that is just, I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough, right? And I know how I feel about it. I know my perspective of it, being that I'm a woman, and having these feelings of like, am I good enough? Like, why is this not working for me? This is what I was born to do, so why am I having these issues? And so then just kind of questioning and challenging my own value. So I feel that as a woman, I feel that, I understand it, but then I'm looking at him and I can't feel his sadness, or exactly where his sadness is coming from, or how it's impacting him. That was very challenging, because sometimes if he wasn't sad the same way that I was sad, I would look at him like, why isn't this affecting you the same way? So now I'm starting to feel some type of way about him. Whereas, in his way of grieving, he wanted to stay busy. He wanted to stay focused on, his job and making progress there. At that point, he was still traveling a lot. So I'm not there to see, in his quiet moments, how this is affecting him. So it got to a point where there was a little bit of a clash. We had our frustrations with each other. But it forced us to really start to open up to each other in a way that we never had to before, so that we could like really understand what was going on. I'm like trying not to cry for real.
I can tell.
But it was, like I said, it was very challenging, but it was also a blessing because it definitely took our relationship and just our appreciation and understanding of one another to the next level.
Sure,
like there was no way that we could have really gotten over that hump or that hurdle without fully understanding, what we were both experiencing. Even though it was a little different, I felt this way because, again, I'm a woman, but he has his own, as the male ego. It's very fragile, and I respect that, to be honest. So just as a man, I'm sure, he kind of was feeling his feelings of perhaps inadequacies as well, just like I was, but it's still different, just perspective of a man versus a woman.
So because I was gonna ask, I want your perspective and what you went through. You don't got to go deep into it, but like that. But before that, I just want to say, I know you're believers. I know you're Christian. I have a coach that him and his wife went through the same thing. They told her she was never gonna have kids. They end up having twins. So God is faithful through all those times. And I will be praying for y'all. I promise you to stay strong. I mean, I've seen God do way more miracles than what you're going through. And I'm not downplaying that. I just know he can work. So I just wanted to encourage you that way. But Cam, like, what was your thought process during this? Because I don't think a lot of people pay attention to the man in that situation, which I can understand because it's more of you almost assume like the woman's going through, like she said, when you hear that word, it's almost, I link that word with what the woman is going through because she can't be a mother and everything, but being a father is important to us. So what did you go through? What were your feelings?
I think Brittney hit the nail on the head. Ego is fragile, and just trying. Why didn't it work? You're asking yourself why. You're feeling inadequate. You're feeling like less of a man. And then you have you have your friends and who are having kids, and they like boom, 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 ready to go. You got parents who are like, yeah, or not just parents, but friends and things like that. Yeah, first time we tried it. Like, dang, first time. And so you're just like, what you're wondering what's wrong, why it's wrong, and just because more so I'm like a fixer type of person, I want to know how I can fix it, what I can do better, how can I make some changes to get things differently. So that was kind of how I addressed it. Like, all right, what are the issues? What can I do to make some changes? How can I make those changes? And then make sure that we don't have we're not in the same position the next time that we do try. So we've got I did a bunch of reading, and bodybuilding helped because I knew some of the different changes to make in the diet, and I had made a lot of sacrifices in diet before. So it was like, okay, if you have to do this is nothing like a bodybuilding diet. So yes, you might have to eat more strawberries, or I hate nuts, like walnuts, peanuts, cashews, all of them.
Right.
Never liked them. And that's a big part of, assisting in improving your level of fertility. So, I was drinking pomegranate juice and beet juice daily. I was taking more vitamins than I'd ever taken. And I'm talking like, my vitamin C, B, whatever. Like I was like, nah, I'm not doing a multivitamin. I know these are the areas or the levels of the IUs that you're supposed to have, and I'm going to create my own multivitamin. So that's kind of how I took it. Like, yes, there was a period of disappointment and sort of despair, but being the fixer and trying to make some adjustments, I definitely went the research route and said, how can I make this better next time we try? How can I, what can I do to make some changes in my lifestyle to make sure that we're successful the next time around whenever we do try? So that was kind of my the cycle that I went through. And,
right.
I still feel, I got one of my best friends. He's got a boy on the way in June. I got other friends who have 2-3 kids. And it's, I'm proud and happy for them. And, I got cousins, like baby cousins who are, who are pregnant now. I mean, I got a cousin right now who's 20 years old, just had a baby. So, dealing with those things and seeing and just like, man, I wish, but not, you're proud and happy for them because they're family and they're friends and they're close to you. But you do have that I wish, like, oh man. But at the same time, I mean, in the last year, she went to Olympia. So could we have done that? Definitely not last year. We couldn't have done that, if she had a baby, because just the snapback's going to be a lot not a lot longer than the turnaround would actually have been. I think she would have had 2 months to get in shape, and that's just not healthy. Not to say that can't be done or shouldn't be done, but I just don't feel like it would be a good turnaround for her. So, she wouldn't have been able to qualify for Olympia. We're considering other things from a career perspective. She probably, I guess she could have started skincare, but you're dealing with a lot more responsibilities that take away your time that you can't focus on building a new company and how to market it and, logos and getting in front of the right people. So, like you said, God is faithful and everything happens for a reason. We don't know what that reason is when it's happening. We go through all these different emotions, but in hindsight, it was a blessing that, we didn't have a baby, because she was able to start up her new baby. She was able to achieve a life. Well, I wouldn't say a lifelong, but probably for the last 5 years long dream of going to Olympia and getting on that stage and, going up at the world championships, essentially against the best bikini competitors of the year. So all of those things.
And the first Black doctor to do so.
And the first Black doctor to do so, making history. So, those things wouldn't have happened if, at least not in this time period. Right. Not that they couldn't happen eventually, but wouldn't have happened at this point by now. So, looking back on it, we can be thankful, we can be grateful. And we're about to go on vacation here in the next couple of months. And the only thing that we have to worry about is, where is our dog going to be boarded? So
all of these going to the moon.
What's that?
Are we going to the moon? You are not the first person to say that.
We're going back to the British Virgin Islands. So okay. We went there once for my 30th birthday, did Yacht Week down there, which was an interesting experience. But we're not doing a Yacht Week this time around. We're going to actually just go to a resort and experience it. But it'll be nice just to get away and really get to a beach. As you know, with all of the travel we did last year, we don't have the same sort of cooped up mentality or feelings of being cooped up that other people feel, because we went to Minneapolis, we went to Tahoe, went to Florida like 83,000 times. So we have been out of the house and we have traveled, but it'll be nice to really go to a beach that's, and be there for relaxation. So, we don't, without having a kid right now, we don't have those same constraints that, not to say that you can't do that even when you do have a kid, but we don't have to worry about that yet. So right. Some things that we can look at certain moments and be like, well, if we had a kid, we wouldn't even be able to think about this. So right. we can still operate pretty freely and just make a decision, thinking about just the two of us.
For sure. So let me ask this, either one of y'all can answer, but it's more directed like towards husband. Like you said that you're a fixer. And I would think like a lot of men, that's kind of their natural instinct to like fix and problem solve. And sometimes I feel like that gets in the way of what the woman really needs, which is to be understood and heard. Because we're so quick to be like, we're going to fix the problems. Like, no, that's not like, I need you to listen to me first. Did you struggle communication wise at first because you were trying to fix things? Or was that kind of your own side hustle, while still being supportive of her? And I'm asking this honestly more so I can learn. So yeah, that's why I'm asking.
I think, to be honest, that's a better question for her.
Okay.
I think, we had some communication issues, not being on the same page. She was like, I'm not doing that again. And I'm like, wait, what? Like not doing that again right now? Or she's like, ever. And I'm like, wait, but hold on. That's how are we going to fix this?
Yeah. in regards to like IVF and all of that.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right. So it was just like, we weren't necessarily on the same page about that. And I think because of that, we ran into some communication issues about how we were going to manage and clear the obstacle. So yeah, I mean, we had some difficulties navigating it. I wouldn't, I'll leave it up to her. I felt like, we navigated it pretty well.
Okay.
So one thing I had to learn about Cameron, he's not one to argue or go back and forth really about much. Okay. When it comes to like if we are for real, well, if I'm arguing about something, if I'm upset about something, like Cameron is really good at just being still and allowing me space to express everything. Like he will just take it all in, digest it. And even when like I'm done and I'm expecting a response, Cameron will not give me an immediate response. Like he might actually just sit there in silence for a few more moments while he's gathering his thoughts and getting his response prepared. So the thing about it is like, yes, he's a fixer, but because he operates like this, I don't think that ever got in the way of him understanding me, because he doesn't get in the way of me expressing myself so that he can understand. He's it's like a blessing and a curse. It used to get on my nerves like to no end, because I'm like, just say some shit. Like, why are you just sitting there? Like I just poured my whole heart out. Like I am so upset, and he'll just be so still. And so the beauty of that though is that it forces, if you arguing about something and ain't nobody really arguing back, like eventually you just hear yourself. And so I would eventually hear, okay, Brittney, seriously, the way that you're coming at him, the way that you're just going off at this point is not even necessary. Like, calm down. You should still get your point out. You deserve that moment to just, get these emotions out of you. But, in this manner is not necessary, not with him, because he's not fighting you. He's not, there's no resistance. So just chill. So that was good for me, like, and just, how I needed to, my areas of development, that was really, really good. But as far as him being a fixer, like he absolutely is. But again, he's going to gather all the data first before he attempts really anything.
Right. See, that's something I would need to hear. I feel like there's a lot of fans that might listen to this. They need to hear that too. So that's great. So my next question, or the next point I wanted to hit, is going into business as a couple, because I know I'm getting ready to do that. Not me, but my wife, once she graduates school this summer. So everything we moved down here for is done. We're getting ready to figure out where we want to be again. And she's going to open her own office. And a lot of what we've been talking about is, what's my role? How do I help? The support, but I'm still doing my own thing as well. But this is like you said, this is her baby. So it's a lot of conversation going on. So what was that like for you two in that experience?
It's her business and it's all in her name. She went through the process. I may have a business degree. I'm not an entrepreneur, so I don't have all the answers. Not to say anybody has all the answers at all, but I certainly have never experienced entrepreneurship at all from other than dealing with entrepreneurs at work and working with them on different deals. So it was kind of like just hey, this is what you want to do. And if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, just shoot them at me when you have them. I'll give you my viewpoint on things. Sometimes she does it and sometimes she doesn't do it. But yeah, this is your baby. And, if you want to take it in this direction and I disagree, it's not on me to say, no, you should have done it this way, or wait for the I told you so moments. That's not what we are built to do. I'm just here to, like I said, be present and support wherever I can, however I can. And if it's successful, great. If we run into some hurdles and it becomes unsuccessful, this is before it even opened, then all right, at least you tried it. At least you went out there and made the attempt at the business. And that's kind of just how I saw it going to business. And, and since then, and I'll let her tell her side of the story about going into business. But since then, I have seen the benefits of entrepreneurship from several different perspectives. And so one thing that I never really thought about doing in all of my business was entrepreneurship. And, even she came up to me, like she's got a friend who now owns 13 houses. And when they started their process, it was like, oh, wait, do you want to do this? And I was like, nope. And that's one thing too, that I'm not good at either. Like, I will be quick to say no.
Because again, he has to collect all the data first before he can do anything, whether he can say yes. Well, no, he can say no pretty quickly, but before he can really like feel comfortable, like he has to know just about everything about it first. And so, because it's not like I came to him like, hey, this is what they're doing. This is how they're doing it. This is A to Z, the steps of it. I was just like, hey, you want to look into it? You want to, give it a try? Sounds easy enough. They're doing it, and he's just like, nah.
Not interested.
Right.
And, since then, seeing her entrepreneurship has opened up my eyes to other routes of entrepreneurship that we can do as a couple. And so I am all on board of entrepreneurship and starting our own businesses and building our own foundation, building that what they call generational wealth. So, I am going into business with one another has taught me, even though it's her babies, on this particular side, the right skincare, it has taught me that there are some additional benefits of entrepreneurship, and it's gotten my wheels turning on what ways I can be an entrepreneur. Not to say that I'm quitting my job. That's the support.
No,
that's
not.
The foundation of our entire financial future. But we can find ways to supplement that. And like I said, build generational wealth, have money, make money while we sleep, which is awesome that she's able to do. And it's really great to see, like, oh, got a new order. Oh, waking up. Well, I got a new order overnight. Like, oh, wait, what, how? Or just waking up in the morning and sending an email and getting some sales and just seeing how that works for her has really inspired me to help us as a couple. So I would say that's one big benefit of going to business.
Yeah. I would say too, as far as like us working together and, making that work smoothly. So, I'm a pharmacist. I don't have a business degree. It's not my background at all. But it is something that, I felt confident enough in myself that I could figure it out. But I would say just as maybe as advice for couples, a married couple or whomever, like, you got to know your strengths and weaknesses, right? And you got to know your partner's strengths and weaknesses. And so for me, I get like legitimate anxiety when it comes to the finances and the taxes and things like that for this business. So I make that very clear. I make that known, like, hey, this is stressing me all the way out. And yes, this is my baby, but like, I respect that he is a banker, that he does have knowledge in these things and that he can guide me. Like he said, if he may not have all the answers, like I do trust that he'll get me there, So that's when I have to, be humble enough to say, okay, yes, this is my business, but I'm going to lean on my husband for this, to make sure that, for one, this doesn't become a burden for him too. Like the last thing I want is for, I've taken this leap of faith to start this business and he's making so many sacrifices to support me. And now because of my pride and, me wanting to claim that it's all mine, now I make mistakes and it becomes his issue as well. That's the last thing I wanted. So again, it's like, as a couple, you have to respect each other's strengths and recognize when this is not your ministry. Okay. So, take his advice, listen to what he's saying. And again, it's about being able to submit in those moments that's, when it's necessary and appropriate.
For sure. That's amazing. But
And what I'll say is, she said advice, because I know you're talking about going into business with your wife. I think another piece of advice that I've given her is, when you discuss and have that communication with one another, figure out what your limits are. Figure out what things are going to stress you out and what things are not going to stress you out. Because there are some things that stress her out, and I'm like, don't worry about it. Just if you fail on this particular thing, like, that's not going to end you. Mm-hmm. Like, if you fail, then you learned a lesson, learn from it and get better next time. So know your limits, know what things that you're willing to deal with, from not only from a financial perspective, but like I said, emotional perspective of all right, what's going to stress you out in this moment. And for me, for the things that stress her out, I'm like, don't worry about it. Don't stress out. Like, we good. Like, we'll be fine. Like, if this messes up, we'll correct it and we'll be fine. So know those limits between yourselves about the things that stress you out and the things that stress her out. And I think that when you do know those limits and you don't go above those limits, then I think that most things are fixable.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate that. So y'all been dropping gems this whole time, by the way.
I hope the internet is working okay.
Yeah,
I know
good.
Okay.
Probably the more clear of anybody I had. Ain't much cutting out or the machine voice where it lagged a little bit. Like, it's been fine. So last checkpoint, the bodybuilding is obviously something I want to touch on because you both compete. Cam, you were super close to a pro card, weren't you, out in Colombia? Like, you were right there.
Yeah.
You
close.
were right there. It was super close. And then, she being with Olympia, you guys have been in preps almost at the same time, I think, or close to.
Most times we've been in the same time. I'd say out of all of our preps, I mean, once she turned pro, it was like all over. But before that, when we were both amateurs, we were always in prep the same time, except for one time.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
So,
and that we learned, hey, listen, if both of us can't compete, ain't neither one of us gonna compete, because that was not a fun time in this household.
That's what I was getting ready to ask. So, like, competing together or one or the other, which one was more beneficial, you think?
Well, I mean, when you're at an amateur level, is definitely competing together. Also, to be honest, like, just having the right meal plan is definitely a part of it too. I think we struggled with that a little bit initially. Just we were in a position where we were eating things and doing macros and calorie intake that was really, because my issue always was, and still, that's part of the reason why I stopped. Like, after the competition, I'm eating everything. So, stage weight is 200, 195, 200 as an amateur. But, in a week, 2 weeks, I'm going up to 230, 240 easy.
Right.
Like, without hesitation.
Right.
And so, when you go to when you end your season and it's like, all right, we just did junior USA junior USAs, and all right, we might come back for Pittsburgh. That only gives you, like, to be honest, 3 months or 4 months essentially. So you blow up to 240 and you eating good, trying to cut that weight means you have to eat spinach and broccoli and do that the wrong way the whole time. So, when you have those strenuous type of diets, doing it together is definitely better. But since she's turned pro and, she's got diets that fit her individually, it's been a lot easier for us to be separate than it was before.
I think too, like he pointed out, being an amateur, you're new to this, and there's a lot of maturing that we all have to go through. And so by the time you get to that pro level, you've more than likely been through quite a few preps, right? And you understand what this is all about, and hopefully you've evolved into this mindset that's like, all right, this is what I'm doing now. Like, nobody's putting a gun to my head to make me do this. This is my choice. And for me, yes, I mean, yeah, I'm hungry, but there's no reason for me to be a dick about it. Like mature in the fact that, like, you're choosing to do this and now you're considered a professional at that. So you just get it done. So since I turned pro and then he decided to stop competing so he could support me, we really have not had those issues. And I think a lot of it is because, again, my mindset evolved. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I should not allow this hobby that I have voluntarily chosen to do. I should not allow that to cause issues within my marriage.
Right. So do you all is there creativity there as far as time spent together? with you being on prep, obviously you can't eat, you can't do things. So are you guys still able to, you know, have dates, or how do you attack that situation?
Generally we know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, all right, this is going to be temporary. We know that once we're done, we'll go somewhere, we'll go on vacation. That's typically what we would do. We would go somewhere anyway. I think last time after I was done, because we went up to Jersey to do that, to do Universe, and that runs right into our anniversary. So we went, like, we were already up in Jersey. We went to a bunch of different places she had never technically been. Went to Philly and got cheesesteaks, and we went to Chicago,
Miami.
you know, eating deep dish pizza. That's what I'm talking about. I'm going up to 240. Like, there's no problem.
Right.
Then we went to Miami. I was supposed to hold it together for a photo shoot, an underwater photo shoot.
Yeah.
240 happened. I'm talking
Cancel
about a week. We still did it, but it didn't look as beautiful as it was supposed to look.
It wasn't dope. Nope, it sure wasn't.
Her pictures that they did by herself was good, but you know, the light at the end of the tunnel is usually our way of handling it. She does get her cheat meals, and
every week. So that would be our date night.
That would be our date night to kind of do some things and put it together. But at the same time, trying to manage through that whole situation and not just go crazy on the other side, eating desserts and everything that, you know, she can't eat. So
at least not in my face.
Does that affect you if he does that?
No, because he's respectful enough to just not eat it in front of me, you know. But then also too, you know, I guess because the infertility and everything hit, like we, you know, were introduced to that whole journey shortly after I got my pro card. You know, he kind of like took it on as like a prep in itself when he decided to make his own dietary changes and stuff to try to help improve that situation for us. So it kind of ran parallel, you know, while I'm in prep eating, you know, my meal plan, he, you know, is also being disciplined in himself and, you know, doing what he needed to do to help improve the fertility. So it worked well for us, you know, for the time being. Like, I don't know when I'm going to compete again. So now we both just eating and living life, and it's been great.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine. So that is, I mean, honestly, that's pretty much it. I think that I know for myself, I got a lot of great, like I call them gems and things that I learned. Cam, it's really awesome to hear a husband's perspective. Especially, you know, because I haven't talked to many husbands on here yet. So you're kind of like the first person that we've actually dug into and talked about it. So you gave some really good insight. And Miss Dayne, you already know you the shero. So that's how it works. But
thank you.
I've been doing the mentality moment, which is at the end. I kind of reiterate something that I feel like was really important that if you're listening or watching, you can take home with. And I think I want to go back to what I even talked about again, but it was the, you know, the woman being ready to submit when she saw the leader in the man. I think that a lot of young guys need to hear that and realize, like, that doesn't necessarily, I don't want y'all to think that necessarily means it's just a money thing. It doesn't mean it is you being a provider as far as, like he said, for emotionally, you know, the mental, the physical, the whole nine. And if you're able to display that, a woman will submit to you. And it can be the most independent woman that you've ever met. And if she sees those qualities, she'll submit to you. So that's my mentality moment. Do y'all have anything else?
www.therightskincare.com.
Oh, you know that's in the
real your truth.
Yeah. I need one of those shirts. Is that on the website?
No, not yet, but it's coming. We'll just send you one. You got it. No worries.
Yeah, I need one of those.
That's one of the businesses that I'm looking at getting into, the right apparel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
so that would be trying to get that together and add that to our arsenal.
There you go.
So, Cam, you know, I gotta ask, you been buying shoes lately?
No, Nike and the sneakers app is trash. So I have not been, because I haven't really been going on market, but I've been buying a couple. Nothing too crazy. I see those foam posits coming up in a week, but I've like missed on every pair of Jordans lately. So
did you see my biggest loss? You didn't see that, did you? I got exclusive access to those UNC ones, and I missed it.
Ooh.
I might have teared up. Like I checked the next day because I'm going for the fours or something, and like I checked the inbox and it's like exclusive access, and I'm like, what? So I checked my notifications. Thursday at 11, I missed out on the UNC ones. It was hard.
Oh man. Oh man, I don't even want to talk about it. Because I got questions to ask, but I know that's just gonna just needle you. So I'm just gonna just let it be and just say, ouch. Yeah,
for sure. So I really want to thank y'all for spending some time with me on the podcast. I do really think this is very informative for people to listen, and it'll have an impact. One thing I did want to say, you talked about being able to her qualifying for Olympia, and not with the situation, it could have been different. I will say that also you can add this to that, whereas now like your story is going to be inspirational for other people, because there's people that go through this, but they don't hear a lot of people actually talk about it and express like, yes, we went through this, but we were able to start a business. We were able to qualify for Olympia. We still got things done. We didn't let that situation just bury us. So I'm super excited for people to hear that, and you guys just continue being dope and inspiring and doing your thing, man. It's great to see, especially for Black couples. Even though I'm married to a white woman, especially for Black couples.
That's all right. Y'all are beautiful.
Y'all gonna have a Black baby.
Factual. Factual. You're 100% correct on that. All right. So,
ask Harry and Megan.
Yeah, facts. I already know. It's weird. I told my wife, I'm like, when we have kids, you'll be the minority of the family.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I never thought about that. Welcome to being Black. No. But all right, we'll end it there. Everybody, please check the descriptions. I'll be having the IGs up. I'll have the website as well for Right Skincare. Great products. I'm still going to order some. I keep forgetting to do that, but I need to.
Yeah, the skin is. I use them too. So just letting everybody know, not just for women.
No, not at all. Yes, I will definitely get that out.
Mm-hmm.
I need a glow.
Yeah, it's there.
Light
okay.
This is a great light.
It's there. We got you.
But all right, so we thank y'all for tuning in, for watching and listening. Joining with my Vitality Podcast. Y'all have a good one.